On this episode of AVSocial, we look ahead to InfoComm 2018, how manufacturers and exhibitors can utilize social media and marketing, and what exactly is an influencer. All that and more, next on AVSocial.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AVSocial, episode 34, recorded Friday, April 13th, 2018. No posers.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Kramer, AV Beyond the Box.
This is AVSocial, the monthly look at the audiovisual marketing and social media space. My name is Tim Albright. I'm your host. With us to talk about all things social media marketing and the upcoming InfoComm 2018 show. First and foremost, from AVSocial, who is putting on said show. Her name is Barbara, and she is awesome. How are you, ma'am?
I'm so excited to be here.
Also with us, I kind of treat these two as almost like Wonder Twins because they're so awesome and they play well together. Her name is Megan Dutta, and she is one of my favorite editors in the whole world. She's from SCN. How are you, ma'am?
Good morning. I'm so excited to be on with everybody today.
Megan and I has been, I think we've seen each other more than we've seen each other's spouses. So
that would be true.
Yeah, we were just at DSC together. We were at AVI-SPL SAS event and so on and so on and so on. So, last but not least, his name is Chris Netto. He's from Barco, but he's also the guy who actually taught me how to do social media. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, but as a Wonder Twin, I guess I'm the one who has to be the guy who, doesn't have the cool shape. I will turn into a bucket of water and sit.
Oh my God,
you're not the Wonder Twin. Those two are.
Oh, I thought you were referring to me.
You're like Aquaman or
something. I'm gonna get like the lame, form of a bucket of water. They're gonna be like form of an eagle.
No, you're Gleek.
Yes,
monkey.
I'm just the
holy crap.
That's it. Dance monkey. That's my thing.
Boom.
Somebody play the accordion.
Okay. On that note, good night. All right. I have totally lost control of this.
Yes, you have
already.
So let's start. Not even start over, but we'll just keep going here. Barbara, first and foremost,
yes.
InfoComm this year is, well, technically the show is the 2nd through the 8th of June. It's in Vegas again. But the show itself is actually the 6th, 7th, and 8th is when the show floor opens. The 2nd is actually when education and stuff like that happens, right?
That is correct.
Real quickly, if you don't know how to register for it, how would someone go about registering for it and getting a VIP pass if they don't have one already?
If you go to infocommshow.org and use the VIP code AVNation,
that'll work.
You can get a free pass to the InfoComm 3-day exhibit hall.
And does SCN have a VIP code, Megan?
I don't know if SCN has their own. I think we use Nube as your code.
Okay.
Or SCN.
Well, that'll have to change.
Let's do SCN.
Why don't we just do Megan Dutta?
Yes. So we're having our think tank April 19th, and I have my own VIP code for that. It's Megan 20.
What is the VIP code for that?
Megan 25.
Wow. Okay, there you go. All right. Barbara, we're going to start with you on this.
Yes.
When it comes to social media and marketing for the trade show itself, what would you advise exhibitors on doing social media? What do they need to know when it comes to social media and marketing, kind of running up to the show and then during the show?
Totally. I think what we've found is for exhibitors that tweet actual content rather than come see me at my booth, come see me at my booth, come see me at my booth like 50 times a day. It's obviously a lot more effective to get followers, and it's just more interesting content for people to read and get to know about your brand and what you can do rather than where you're located on the show floor. I think if people identify with your brand and they understand your brand, they will find you no matter where you are. So you don't need to tell them a million times to come to your booth. So we're seeing a lot less of that kind of transactional social media content and more, people talking about applications and talking about case studies. And that's really the most effective thing. And, I think having some fun messaging doesn't hurt. And also having free beer at your booth doesn't hurt. But we all know that, especially Chris.
Well, that actually brings in Mr. Netto, because Chris has been actually this is fun because both Megan and Chris have been on several different sides of trade shows and covering it and being a part of them. Chris, we'll start with you. Not for nothing, but Barco is a Belgian company. If you have never been to a trade show with Barco, they typically serve a Belgian beer because they are a Belgian company. But Chris, both from an attendee standpoint, somebody who's helped a media company out, but also now from a manufacturer standpoint, what would you advise a manufacturer who maybe is exhibiting for the first or second time and still getting their water wings when it comes to social media and marketing during the show itself?
Well, dip your toes into the water. Get in.
Don't jump in.
You got to jump. First, if you want to, take a little, take a baby step in. But by the first hour of the show, you got to be all in. You're not going to get another opportunity like this. Not only are there 40, 50,000 AV professionals showing up at the same place at the same time. There's a bigger picture. The last time I was in Vegas, I was watching hashtags trend in Vegas that were never trending in Vegas before. AV tweets, AV selfie, that all popped into the Las Vegas feed of Twitter, when my Twitter shut down on me. But that's besides the point. That, and that's a different story. But yes, you got to get in. You're missing an opportunity, not just to get your product information out. And if you're going to be one of those companies that's constantly just dropping PR, here's our spec sheet, here's our PDF, here's our PR release, that's just going to be avoided. That's going to be background noise. And I'm specifically talking about just, I'm talking about Twitter, which is alive. It's dropping down as people are tweeting and moving along. You have your Facebooks, you have your Instagrams. I don't think people are taking full advantage of Instagram and the power that it has linked back to Facebook when it comes to showing your products off. We're moving as an industry to an experience. But part of that experience has to be the boxes that we still sell. Now, the boxes themselves may be ugly, but what's inside can be really magical. So you got to take a look at these products and take the cell phone cameras. We're still a very nerdy group. We love to see the ins and outs of the back of these boxes. The mounts, how they're made, how the projectors shoot. Tear apart the thing open. Do an inside reveal or do a box reveal for the new product that you got. Why not do something like that? Take advantage of the moment, and you only have a couple days really during the show to do it and before.
Well, and I want to point out something. Chris kind of alluded to this 2 years ago when he was in Vegas. He was working for a company. He was a tech manager and a consultant for a company. Mm-hmm. His Twitter shut down because they thought that he was tweeting so much that they thought he was a bot. So I don't point that out to make fun of Chris, although it is a funny story, especially seeing the look of horror on his face when he realized what was happening.
I was put in Twitter timeout. That's not.
But here's what I would point out, though, to that effect is make sure you understand the terms of service and the terms of use of each platform, and how often you can, without risking the running the risk of getting shut out like Chris was. Megan, from both your seat right now where you sit with SCN, or also you used to be a manufacturer and worked for Peerless AV, from both sides of it, and not for nothing, Megan also used to chair the exhibitor committee for InfoComm/AVSocial. What advice would you give to maybe a new or a relatively new manufacturer coming into this space to kind of raise, get their voice heard above the noise?
So there's a couple things. Building on what Barbara said, definitely connect with us. We have a free service on avnetwork.com called The Wire, and people can post all of their press releases for free on there. They're automatically go up on our site. And, she said, tweet out your content. Do that. Put it up there. Use the link for AV Network. Tag SCN in it. We'll retweet it. That SCN mag on Twitter. Make sure you're doing that, and make sure, like Chris said, you're going behind the scenes. People love that. While you're setting up your booth, tweet pictures of what's going on. Do some boomerangs on Instagram. I also love Instagram. I think it's underutilized because you get to see things in pictures. Who doesn't like to see pictures and videos? Mm-hmm. It just adds more to the story. So making sure you're utilizing all these platforms and utilizing them in the right way. Like you said, following the terms of service. And connect with other people. Connect with Chris, me, Barbara. There's tons of people on Twitter that you can make genuine friendships with, I'd say.
Definitely. Well, as from the InfoComm perspective, there are a lot of things that we do for our exhibitors for free that people don't take advantage of. And, hello, I'm here. Everyone knows my name. I'm on the website. And we are more than willing, as Megan, I hope, can attest to help out in any way we can. I mean, back in the day, Peerless's VIP code started with PEE. And so she said, is there any way you can change this for us? And I thought, no, of course I did. But I mean, we actually do read our emails. We do reach out to people. We call people. And so we're just trying to figure out how to make everybody successful. I will plug something for New Bay, which is in the show daily. You can send in a press release for them to print in one of the show dailies, which we encourage our exhibitors to do as well. And I think the deadline for that is coming up relatively quickly. But you will find that information on our website.
Which is?
I'll add to that. What she's saying is actually true. They're not an organization that just wants to hear positive feedback. If you have something that you think AVIXA can help you with, or something they can do better to help you market your products, reach out to anybody on the team, and they actually listen and implement your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Barbara, real quickly, you said that there is a place where the folks can funnel those press releases. Are you saying that that's at your website or New Bay's website?
It's on New Bay's website, but I don't know if you can upload it because you're also going to upload a picture, but there's information about it on infocommshow.org.
Right.
I just wanted to close with one thing, which is, people thinking that marketing is super expensive. Stuff that goes viral and stuff that people remember. A couple of years ago when those PEXIP guys all had this crazy orange suits, and people were like, who's that? What booth is that? I mean, those suits are not that expensive, but it definitely got some attention and definitely, I think, raised awareness of that brand. And I think that's the kind of thing that it's simple and it's cheap, but it is also memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's drill down a little bit into what each of you kind of hit on here, is that social media and there are real people behind here. Megan said you can actually make friends here because there are real people behind these handles. Mm-hmm. Megan, I want to start with you on this because not only do I want to talk about New Bay for a second here, and you are Megan Dutta.
Just one correction: we are Future PLC now.
Yes.
Oh, golly. Yes.
Are you changing the name from New Bay to that, or is it just going to be a subset of that?
I haven't officially heard, but I'm pretty sure we're going with Future PLC.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Megan will start speaking in a British accent.
Well, that's a given because it's a British company, and that's a really long tail joke. But you're Megan Dutta on Twitter. You and I connected actually through.
I did a Dutta.
But you also run SCN, but other people do. And Margot Dewahi has her own, but she's also AV Technology. At AVNation, I run AVNation, but so does Matt Scott and some other folks kind of help in. But I also have my own. So we all are actual real people. Then you look at a company like Chief or Peerless, where you used to be, and they have actually their official brands. But Karen Smith, who is Karen _Chief, right, or Chief _Karen. So they're tied to their company, but they're their own people. So they're becoming and creating their own personas and their own social media presence. At the same time, they're able to take that influence that they have and kind of point back to their companies. How does a company utilize that? How does a company harness that social media influencing or that just marketing influence in general of their employees and kind of channel it to help out everybody?
So I think it depends on what company you're with. I started Peerless's thought leadership program, and especially on social media. And some of them aren't as active in the social media, and some of them are really active. Brian McClemens, for example, did a lot of his own tweets, whereas some of the other thought leaders basically left it to our team and they'd read it and check it. So if you do have your company running it, make sure you're reading it and checking it, especially before you go to a show, because you'll find it creates a lot of real life conversations. And you don't want someone coming up to you talking about something that you tweeted and then you have no clue what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're checking your social if that's the case. And I think there's another sort of double-edged sword that you have to be careful with. I'm a big fan of making your Twitter your name. People can find you very easily. And if you link it to your company, make sure you're reading your company's social media policies. Because, for example, Karen, she tweets something maybe Chief didn't want her to say, or Chief, she's never going to say something offensive, but let's say she did. that something she found offensive, she could actually get in trouble at work for that. So you need to make sure you're checking your social media policies, and it's your own name. I have a disclaimer on mine. My opinions are my own. And I think a lot of people do that. I mean, Chris, how's that working with you at Barco now?
Why use me as an example?
Well, because not for nothing, but Barco has hired 2 significant social media influencers in the last 12 months. Chris is one of them, but Mark Coxon is the other. And they have 2 social media influencers on each coast, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, how do you guys handle that?
Well, I guess it's got to go back to who we are. I started on Twitter in 11. I think Mark did around the same time too, 2011, 2010. As a space to voice our opinions, to see what people are saying, to keep up with trends, for the most part. And over the last 6 years or 7 years, it's been a steady stream, constantly increasing people, the activity, the voices, new voices come and go all the time. And then there are some that have been around the whole time. I personally, I'll speak for myself, Mark, that's up to him. But for me, I always try to stay very neutral in the process. I don't want to be, brand heavy on any one side, because it's my own personal Twitter, which, yes, I do use it for furthering a conversation for the industry. And for the most part, 90% of what I do is constantly driving that conversation on the industry side. What are we going to do to make things better? How do we look at our businesses, right? Because I have a genuine concern about how AV is moving forward, whether it's through the technology or through the people or the investment in young people to come in and take over this industry in a few years. Where is the next AV professional coming from? These are all things that are very, intriguing to me. And I go out and I just don't tweet about AV. I go to other industries and look at what they have handled and started conversations regarding, industry direction. You take, one of the things that I've talked about online about is apprenticeship, right? And it's a very kind of a weird thing in AV. Yes, some agree, some don't. But then I look at the tattoo industry, for example, who are right now in an upheaval because of tattoo schools. People that go get their tattoo license and become tattooers. The old school guys are freaking out. You're not a tattooer if you just go and get a certificate that says tattoo school. So, and here we are on the AV side, begging for some sort of education program in a college or university. Is that not going to cause the same thing? So I'm very interested in how we're forwarding that. And my tweets are 90% of them are going down that road. Yes, I do see what Barco is sending, and I will retweet what Barco's message, and I am in line with whatever Barco is doing. But at the same time, I also like to be a fair voice to the industry, and I think that in order for me to do that, I still got to be who I am. And yes, you're going to see an occasional food pic coming out there, maybe 2.
Well, and not that he's here, but I would actually, from the outside looking in, not hearing from Mark, but I would say that Mark is in the same line as that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mark is Mark online, and what makes me and Mark have been friends for a while. We've met online. Sounds very weird, but yes, we met online and we became friends online, and we now are working together 6 years later. But one of the things that both me and Mark we are real people. The same people we are online is the same people we are in person, with the exception of maybe I have a couple extra curse words because I don't curse online.
I thought you were going to say a couple extra pounds.
Oh, that too, because Twitter adds,
It does. It really does.
Not to him, it doesn't.
Well, I always thought George Tucker was much taller on Twitter until I met him on person. Twitter adds height as well. So I look at what I do on social media as forward thinking. I try to keep it that way, and everything I'm writing on Twitter, it's a documented log of my life, right? If I'm having a bad day and I put it up there, it's up there unless I delete that tweet. And for the most part, it's in there and it's ingrained in our digital footprint. We've learned that word once before. So once you leave a digital footprint, it can be traced back. My company took a look at my years of what I'm doing. I never had those spats. I'd never get into that sort of stuff. I try to stay even keel online, and I think that's been the best policy for me. And I'm self-trained. I didn't go to school for marketing or any of that stuff. I just read a lot of books, and Megan makes fun of me for doing that.
Well, it's funny because I met all three of you online, I think, through Twitter, and Mr. Netto said something so profound to me at InfoComm 2015 at the Tweet Up, and he looked around the room and he said to me, these are your influencers. These are the people that are talking about our industry, that are moving things forward, that are continuing this conversation online. And you look around, it's not CEOs and it's not vice presidents. They're the people that are doing the work. And I think that's what makes it so compelling. It's because it's real people. I mean, Chris, 90% of this stuff is about apprenticeship. 90% of my stuff is about shoes, but that is 100% who I am. I mean, I'm about shoes. I'm about Sausage Fest. I'm about, my kids every once in a while wearing AVSocial shirts. So that's me. And sometimes I do get my wrist slapped for, an off comment, but it's nothing that I wouldn't say out loud. So I guess that's really it. I mean, I feel very strongly about not tweeting to say like, oh, hey, this is really awesome from AVSocial. You should read this white paper. I mean, I probably didn't read it, quite frankly. So, I mean, and I do retweet AVSocial stuff that I think is interesting, but I think it is really important to keep that authentic voice and you don't come off as being, the company hack 1 minute and then the shoe lover the next minute.
Well, let me point something out here too. Is I think I'm pretty sure I follow all three of you. Barbara, to her point, put something out, and this has probably been a month or so ago. And I'm going to paraphrase here, and you feel free to correct me or if I missed the hint. But you put something to the effect of, "Look, I'm not a car gal. I'm not a car person, but this looks really cool." It was that little preface, right? And what it was is AVSocial is doing an event at was it Car Museum, I think, out in LA.
Yes,
it looks fantastic. I am not a huge car guy. But they looked really, they looked like some really cool cars, but it was that little preface, right? Where I'm still being me, right? I'm not going to come across like a gearhead. I'm not going to come across like I know what a 454 triple carbine, whatever.
I drive a Honda, a 2006 Honda CRV.
Okay.
I'm not a car person. A car is 4 wheels to get me to work. But
you understand the point here.
Right. I saw that and I'm like, ooh, that's actually kind of hot. Like, Ferraris, Porsches. I'm like, woo. And they had this crazy Mercedes from like 1880 that you like crank up with your hand. I mean, wow. I think that's just generally cool stuff. So It's not, hey, we're doing this event at this location and you should come in. But I looked at it and thought, I'd go to this. Yeah. So, I mean, there's probably going to be other events where I'd be like neutral. But that's part of being authentic. Sorry. I'm not going to slam it, but I'm probably not going to be like, oh my gosh, look at this really awesome oil rig that we're going to be on. Yay. So who knows?
I mean, you're definitely going to promote Sausage Fest at InfoComm though, right?
All day long. They follow me and I follow them. It's all good.
And just so it's been said, Sausage Fest is actually going to be at InfoComm. It's a food truck.
It's a food truck.
In Vegas. It actually one of the other reasons why I like Vegas for InfoComm rather than Orlando is you guys have the 3 food trucks right outside. One of them is Sausage Fest. The other one is Lobster Fest, which if you like lobster, oh my gosh, yeah,
that was amazing. Well, so we're going to have food trucks outside, but we're also having the park again inside, which will also have real food trucks
and air conditioning.
Food trucks and air conditioning.
And air conditioning, yes.
But I was going to send out an April Fool's tweet that was going to say Sausage Fest is canceled. Instead, we're going with Kale and Quinoa Fest. But I just thought I can't do it. That's just mean. I can't do that.
That's evil.
So, we definitely pick not the least healthy option, but the most delicious option. I'll say that. So
it's a straight show,
Absolutely. I mean, live a little. But I will say Lobster Fest was very popular the year that we had it, that it actually sold out of lobster. So when I went up there and I'm like, yeah, can I get a lobster roll? They're like, we don't have any lobster. I'm like, you're called Lobster Fest. Come on, people. So
you have to get there before 2:00, Barbara. I mean, come on.
Pretty much.
All right. Let's wrap this up here. And I just a quick definition from each of you. Neto, we'll start with you on this. Define for me, because all three of you have used this phrase, define for me an influencer.
Wow. Couldn't you let them go first?
No.
Let Megan go first, man.
Influencer. Yeah, let Megan go, because
Okay.
Megan has to find that online.
She's the smarty.
So if you want to find out what an influencer is, look at this podcast. Right? I mean, all three of us are online constantly. Like Chris said, we're talking about, if you're looking for an AV influencer, we're online, we're talking about the industry, talking about things that are personal to us and mean something to us, but also we're available in person. We meet new people and bring new people into the industry. And I just have to give a special shout out to you, Chris, because I think something you've done really recently is genius. On Sunday mornings, Chris started #AV in the AM. And it's blown up over the last few weeks as this really great conversation about the industry. You're sitting there having breakfast, reading the paper, doing whatever you're doing on a Sunday morning. Take some time, go on Twitter. That's where you can find the community of influencers.
All right, Barbara.
I think, it's funny because I don't think there's just one influencer at any one place. I would hope not anyway. I think it's really a group of people with different voices that people pay attention to. I would say I'm probably the least influential person on this thing. You guys are way more influential than I am, but I think just being part of the conversation and having people that listen to you and that maybe you change people's opinion about a brand or an event or some situation, I think that's pretty simply done.
Don't discredit your influence. Aww. I now have to go out and get a cheetah jacket, and that sort of has to happen.
You should see the matching shoes, but
you get the light up shoes.
I have to up my shoe game. I have to just check in with Barb. Though Barb is representing the women's shoe, I realize that shoes are important, that people are looking at that based on Barb's posts. So an influencer to me is, it's tough to be called one, but you always can point out one, because you don't think that anything you're doing online is actually matters. For many years, it was tweeting out and it would just go into the vacuum until something happens. And when something happens, there's that trigger point where you're like, all right, maybe I shouldn't take a picture of these 3 devices because a 5th company or 4th company has now sent me a DM asking, why didn't you include mine? Then you realize maybe I'm onto something here. Being an influencer online is a big responsibility, not just for the brand you're representing, if you are representing a brand, but it's representing who you are as a person. You want to stay true to who you are and true to your values, whether that's, having a plan on how you do your social media on a daily basis. I never set out to do that. I never set out to be an influencer. If that's what you're calling what I do, it was never intentional, and it sort of grew organically. And that may be the...
Real quickly on that, Chris, because do you think you can set out to become an influencer and actively and successfully do it, or do you think it has to be organic?
I personally think it has to be organic, because this little alarm goes off with a little light that has a BS, written on the front of it. When people are forceful about, being an expert, you can't be a subject matter expert or a product expert overnight. You cannot be shape the industry overnight unless there's a monumental thing. What happened down in Parkland, for example, put teens right in front of the media, and they have now become a major player in how the political views of guns. I'm not going to get into that, but that was a major impactful thing that happened that thrusted a certain amount of people into the spotlight right away. That's not happening in our industry, right? You have to build it organically. You have to be, it's that, and if you follow my Twitter and my posts, I'm a Star Wars guy. I don't believe that there's just one way to learn the Force. You have to learn both sides of it, honestly. You have to know the good and the bad and learn from that. It sounds bad that I'm making a Star Wars reference, but that's who I am, right? So in order to get a better idea of how you become a person where you're becoming a subject matter expert or a, somebody that you're going to be invited onto a panel, why does your opinion matter? My conversations on Sunday started by accident. I tripped over it by accident. That AV and AM thing happened because I just happened to be up at 8 o'clock in the morning and I saw somebody tweeted something, didn't realize it was 3 days ago. And when I answered it, another person answered. So all of a sudden I just made the connection of, wait, There's other people doing the same thing I'm doing. So the following week I did the same thing. And now I got upwards of 50, 60 people talking on a Sunday morning. Even companies are coming online. So to me, that's mind blowing, dude, that there's people there on a Sunday. And it didn't happen because I said, I'm going to find a day.
Right.
It didn't happen because I set out one morning and said, I'm going to force a conversation. That is how you're not going to get anywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, I think people recognize, kind of like clickbait, like tweet bait. And you might get away with that a couple times, but then when people start realizing that you're just out there to poke someone in the eye or try to be controversial, people will stop following you, and that lasts not a very long time. So.
Barb, me, you, maybe Tim, I don't know if Megan would understand this, but posers, that term, I just went there. That's a poser. The fakeness of it. And if you don't remember, what a poser is or know what a poser is, Google it. It was a very 90s term. I think maybe
that was an 80s term.
I just love how Chris automatically assumes that I'm your age. That's really hurtful.
But the thing is, I know how old you are, so he's perfectly within his right to do that.
But you look at what that was. It was people that, fake it until you make it. That only gets you so far, and that's the term of what a poser is now. It's the guy who goes out and buys a jacket and thinks he's trendy, right? Because he's wearing a tour jacket of whatever, or a fancy sneakers, or you got those Yeezys. But the fake ones, by the way, because you can get those on the curb too. So anyway, you have to bring an authenticity. And I think that's part of it. And anything that we're talking about today, when it comes to influence online, it's transparency, it's authenticity, and it's also, it's a commitment. For me, it's been a 6-year commitment, 24/7. You tweet me, ask John Green. He tweeted me at 2:00 in the morning and I answered him. All about a stupid AV sweater,
yes. And then suddenly we had a song.
That actually, that is a good segue to my spoiler that I wanted to share with you guys.
Okay.
You were all familiar with the infamous InfoComm red shirt. We have now got purple.
That's purple?
Now, yes, it's purple. It's kind of hard to see, and it is not aubergine. It is dark plum. However, I would like to also show you a picture of our Senior Vice President of Marketing and Content's car. I wonder how purple got to be the color. What? Yeah.
That color on that car would be called plum crazy.
Oh my God, you are a nerd.
You are a nerd.
I Google stuff.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is the plum crazy.
So no more Star Trek references.
No one's going to be dying at the show in the red shirt. It's all purple all the time, baby.
So, Barbara, when are we going to get a picture of Mr. Jason in a purple shirt?
Trust me, this has been 5 years in the making. So as soon as I get him in that purple short sleeve button down shirt, I will send it out on Twitter.
I was about to say, was that a t-shirt, a polo, or was that a cardigan?
This is the ladies cardigan, actually, with the lovely purple buttons, if you can see those. But yes, there's a polo shirt and a long sleeve button down, a short sleeve button down. I mean, we try to give people some options.
We got to take it.
I would actually wear that
conversation to Barb's angle right there. It's all about the style and the fashion of InfoComm. Let's drop everything else. Let's talk about. You got the matching the shell toes with the purple stripes.
Hey, only one spoiler a day. Okay, come on.
All right. On that, we're gonna wrap this up and I'll get ready for InfoComm. Miss Barbara, since you're up, thank you so much. How do people find you and or AVXA or the InfoComm show?
All right, so I am BarbXG on Twitter. InfoComm Show is at InfoComm Show, and AVXA is at AVXA, AVIXA.
All right, very good. Ms. Megan Dutta, it's good to see you as always.
You too.
How do people find you or SCN or any of your other compatriots?
On Twitter at Megan A. Dutta, and you can find SCN Magazine on Twitter at SCN Mag, and our website is avnetwork.com, and be sure to go there for all the latest InfoComm updates.
Oh. All right. And Mr. Netto, last but not least, how do people find you if they're not connected with you for whatever reason?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Chris_Netto. But since I didn't have a chance like everybody else did, our VIP code is BAR742. And because I know that this will air sometime closer to the June time, I'm going to drop a booth number on you of C2536 because I waited to drop a little bit of influence near the last 2 seconds of the show. And you can find Barco at Barco, which is the company I work for. We're going to be doing some cool stuff at the show. I cannot reveal anything right now, but watch.
Come on, Barbara gave us a shirt.
Okay, we're going to be wearing shirts with Barco logos.
Oh, jeez.
You're going to be giving out beer?
You're fired.
Come on,
And we have, okay, I will confirm that we do have a Belgian beer bar.
Okay.
Let's, everybody can
And
rest
will there
assured.
at least be a one Unicy in your booth?
There will at least be one Unicy, one projector, and a couple click shares.
And that's it.
That's all I can give you.
Just Chris and Mark with the quick
Dun.
All right.
That's right. It'll be the first year of me and Mark both standing in a booth. This is going to be fun.
It'll be interesting.
Mhm.
There's a short joke that I won't do there between Chris and Mark. So, and in case you forgot, C, because we're in Vegas, is the Central Hall. So that's the one you come in and go to the right. So, all right. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me because at this point in the hockey season, I am bemoaning the fact that the Blues can't frickin' score a goal. So go by the website, if you would please, AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others. And starting May 1st, our coverage of InfoComm will begin with some preview interviews that we'll be doing. You can check out, honestly, the stuff we did with at DSC last week, which we're hanging out with Megan and a bunch of other folks. All sorts of stuff. Plus, check out our underwriter section. These are the folks who help us financially, help us bring you DSC and InfoComm and all the other stuff. So all that and more at the website, AVNation.tv.